For many years I had been unable to fulfill the request when people asked me to review models of the airline Malev, but when I finally started working on my series Cardiff, I added a few models to my collection, so it's about time that we take a look at one of them. And with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at a Boeing 737-800 of Malev Hungarian Airlines. At the front of the box, we have a lovely image of the aircraft in real life. Underneath that, we have the Malev branding. Then on the back side of the box, we find the image once more. We are given the original dimensions of the aircraft as well as some additional information. So that's it for the box. Let's take a closer look inside and at the aircraft model itself. And here she is, the Boeing 737-800 in the last standard livery of Malev, the Hungarian airline that was the flag carrier until the airline's demise in 2012. The aircraft model, produced by Herpa Wings, was made in 2005. So obviously it is not a current Herpa Wings release, but let's see if it can offer us anything decent anyway. And we start our tour around the aircraft model with a look at the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer have the Malev branding, which of course is rather inspired by the Hungarian flag. On the fuselage, we then have the full registration code of the aircraft, and towards the very tail of the aircraft, we don't find any detailing around the APU exhaust. This is, however, quite disappointing, but not unusual for Herpa Wings models from that time period. At the front of the aircraft and across the fuselage, we then have the writing of Malev Hungarian Airlines, and we find the Hungarian flag, as well as a logo of IATA. And you might ask yourself, why is there no Oneworld logo as well? After all, the airline was a member of that airline alliance, and you are right. However, the airline didn't join Oneworld until 2007, so long after this model was made. The cockpit section is rather scarce with details, but what we do find here is underneath the cockpit windows the aircraft type specification, and then of course we have the cockpit windows themselves with the classic window configuration of the 737. Above the cockpit windows, or in between the eyebrow windows, we then find the last three letters of the registration code. Scarce when it comes to details is also the picture when we look at the engine nacelles. They have been kept in all white, just as most of the fuselage, but do have the silver leading edge printed on at least that. The physical detailing is okay, not as good as recent models from Herpa Wings, but pretty much the standard you could expect from Herpa Wings at the time this model was released. Then on the fuselage, just above the wings, we have the emergency exits printed on, which leads us straight to the wings, which we should also take a closer look at. Starting off with the top side, where we can see the different flaps, slats and spoilers have been carved out rather nicely, but we don't have any other markings here on the top side. The underside at least offers us the full registration code of the aircraft once again. The landing gear on this aircraft model is the standard landing gear that Herpa used at that time for their 737s. This means we have way oversized wheel sets on the main landing gear. The front landing gear looks alright, but of course could have profited from some printed details. And then last but not least, we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here in the back of the aircraft and here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Boeing 737-800 of Malev in the last standard livery of the airline from Herpa Wings in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Of course, compared to a more recent 737-800 release of Herpa Wings, this model isn't anything special. Also, the current mold is much nicer than this one, which is a bit choppy in my opinion. But it is a model from 2005 and we should judge it accordingly. And actually for a model of 2005, this isn't that bad. Yes, printed details are scarce, but the print quality is actually quite good, and also the physical detailing isn't that bad. Nowadays, Malev models are rather popular with collectors, so there might be a high demand for this aircraft model. But should you get it for your collection? Well, I mean, given that you have no other options in scale 500, it is pretty much your only choice. But that's of course not a good buying decision just because you have no other choice. And I wouldn't be surprised if Herpa would at some point decide to make a re-release of this aircraft model in their current mode, and that I would definitely say would be worth waiting for. Now with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like, that would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.